assembly, Mr. Speaker, for us to know. Secondly, apart from the work that they do at the national level, is there any intention to collaborate the efforts of Women Enterprise Fund and our county governments to capacity build for our counties to ensure that I see many counties try to run enterprise programs for young people and for women. Given that Women Enterprise Fund has been the model institution in the country, and they have learned over the years how to do this better, what is at stake in terms of planning and collaboration with our county governments? Lastly, Mr. Speaker, if you permit me, is also to make a comment like Senator Wambua, to congratulate the CS first on her appointment, secondly on her maiden appearance before this House, and to tell her that she has done well so far, and she should keep up the good work, ensuring that she turns up to Parliament like this when she is invited, and to appreciate that so far she has given a good account of herself. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Now, Honorable CS, just note down those questions because you take some more from Honorable Senators. The Honorable Senator Kavindu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to, first of all, start by congratulating Honorable CS for the good work that she's doing, and telling her to keep it up and to be strong and help the women of this country. And I ask her what she's doing about the GBV in Machakos. If we have any houses she's planning to build in Machakos as a rescue centers for gender-based violence, women and girls. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Now, Honorable CS, that is not a supplementary question because it's not related to the primary questions. However, if you're in a position to respond, you may, but you're not obligated to respond to it now. Senator Kathuri Murungi.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I also want to really encourage the CS. Our performance is actually at 80% since this is the maiden appearance of the Senate. Honorable Speaker, I want to ask a supplementary question on the performance of the loan, Women Enterprise Fund, performance of the loans disbursed since inception of Women Enterprise Fund to both the group loans and individual loans. And Mr. Speaker, since there has been a debate that there are so many funds out there, there is Women Enterprise Fund, Youth Enterprise Fund, Micro Small Enterprises. Authority also has money giving to the small businesses. So the CS is comfortable whether she supports corrupts of all these funds so that we can have one fund which is administered across bond, so that, Mr. Speaker, we don't have so many funds across the country or in government, or whether she supports the corrupts of all these funds. Thank you.
Senator Karanyamu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just want to join my colleagues in congratulating the CS and tell her that her work is cut out for her. Of the women of Kenya, expectations are very on this docket, on her docket. We want her to think about her legacy and the impact this position is going to have on the women of Kenya, and to ignore the noise, because public work can attract a lot of noise, but we support you. And anytime you need us to help you with any legislative proposal you may have, we are here to support you. Thank you.
Senator Veronica Maina.
Honorable CS, welcome to the House and congratulations.
I am confident that you'll be able to carry out your mandate and you make all the women proud. I have a question supplementary to the question asked by Senator Catherine Muma. In your response, you have indicated that 1,180 groups have benefited, about 12,538 members under the revised Constituency Women Enterprise Scheme. Honorable CS, as you can very well see, so many women have been left out of that bracket. 12,538 is almost an underwhelming number. And when you look at the women and the role they have towards the family, towards the community, they make up over 50% of our population. And we now have very many women who are heading homesteads as single parents. And we have very many women who are in very vulnerable categories. What is the ministry doing to ensure that this fund is accessible to many more women and to ensure that the requirement for security, even by the formal banking sector, when women are borrowing, that requirement, those requirements are being eased off to give women access to more finance and access to more loans to be able to do business and support their livelihoods and their families' livelihoods.
Senator Chute.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, let me take this opportunity to thank the CS for appearing for the Senate today, and also congratulate her for her appointment. And I wanted to tell Madam CS, the seat I'm sitting on today was being occupied by Senator Cheptumo earlier. And your response was very good. Somebody gave you 80%. I'm giving you 90%. I have only one question. Madam CS, we had women from Marsabit who are trained about 6 months ago, from 6 months ago up to maybe a year. And I want you to visit Marsabit, if possible, and see how we can help the women of Marsabit County. As you are aware, Marsabit County is one of the most poorest counties, among the most poor counties in this republic. Kindly, karibu sana to Marsabit. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Senator George Mbugua.
Thank you, Speaker. CS, I would like you to tell this House what specific interventions your ministry has done to help women with disability access these loans on the digitized platform, and how many groups for women with disabilities have benefited. Thank you.
Senator Eddy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and good morning, CS. Let me also take this opportunity to congratulate you on your new role. And I must say that today I'm seeing the members of the House being very amicable and welcoming you to this House very amicably. But I must say that we as a House, in our oversight role, have faced a lot of challenges with a few CSS who sometimes are contentious with this House in terms of sometimes not honoring the invitations of this House. So I want to wish you the courage to veer from that path, even as you take this new role, that when we invite you to this House, I hope that the partnership will be that you also honor this House more than some CSS have done before. But that said, I just wanted to have a quick follow-up question. We had, as the CS in charge of cooperatives, and we were looking at the ASLAS fund, I think last week. And one of the challenges that we had was that there is no framework that is clear in terms of proper follow-up on people paying for these monies. I wanted to ask you on this particular fund that you are administering, what is the framework to ensure that people actually do abide by being able to pay back where it is required, and making sure that there's an evaluation framework for the impact of those funds with these women? What are the metrics you're using to evaluate that this money is placed in a place that is ensuring that the return on investment on those funds as a government? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable CS, you may now proceed to respond.
Thank you very much, Speaker Sir, for those questions. I'll attempt to answer. The answers that we will not be able to give in full, we will commit. The first question was by the majority leader on how much we have requested through the budget, has been requested through the budget process. And the figure that we have is 4.5 billion. That is the amount. If approved and given, then it will be able to push this agenda. The other issue is about the county collaboration. The web is trying as much as possible to deal and reach out to the county governments, because that is where majority of Kenyan populace are, and we can work very well only if we merge our issues or work together with the counties. And from the data that we have, web is in collaboration with Nairobi County, Uasin Gishu County, and Kilifi County. And for the other counties, we are engaging more. They are engaging more together with our help as the ministry to ensure that all those counties are also reached. The other question was by Senator Kathuri, if I got the name properly, sorry if I didn't get. The performance of the fund since inception. Since inception, the amount of money that has been disbursed is 27 billion to over 136,000 groups. The question, one of the questions which was asked was whether we support the merger. The challenge that is there with the merger is the specialized groups. Women, for example, have their special way of doing things. The other groups also have a special way. So if we merge without looking at the ripple effects, then most likely it will again go back to frustrating the efforts which have been made. And as one member said, these are the people, the women have issues and they have specialized way of meeting their needs. And therefore it would be important that we pilot first before we completely merge, because it may actually kill the original objective. Senator Veronica Maina asked about the security that the groups are supposed to have. We are engaging the groups at the grassroots level, including the chiefs who know these women, and they can be able to help even when we are tracking the monies that have not been paid. And actually that is where we had a challenge when it comes to digitalization, because there wasn't a follow-up. But now the 10 members who belong to that group are known to the local administration. And that is almost the main security that we are looking at. And we have the officers who are monitoring and ensuring that we follow the repayment of that money almost on daily basis, because they are in contact, they have their records. Senator Mbugua asked the question about PWLD. We have this one. I would beg that I be allowed to get more details, because this is a group that has to be, dealt with very clearly. So I will be seeking for more clarification, although the answer that I have here is that we have a specific product, but we will design a product that will be specific. So allow me to follow up so that we get what is actually tailor-made specifically for these PWDs. On the issue of the recovery framework, the recovery framework is, they're looking at the physical visits and meetings of the individual borrowers. The group membership also guarantee themselves. And these people are being reached at the level in which they even understand the language, because forms and these issues of borrowing are mostly in a language that sometimes may be difficult for them to interpret, but the officers who are reaching out to them are able to explain to them how they can fill those forms, how they use that money, and how they repay back. So I think those are the answers that I have. In case there is anything that we have not clarified, then we shall be seeking for more time to respond. About Marsabit, yes, we commit to visit so that we can find out what is happening and how the women would want us to move together. So that one I can commit.
Senator Mazayo, what is your issue, Senator Veronica, before Senator Mazayo takes to the floor?
Maybe Honorable CS can take time and even bring the answer later. What the ministry is doing to make sure the fund is reaching many more women, especially seeing that those who have benefited here are very few. That's one of the questions I asked. And then on the issue of security, it was in respect of what the ministry is doing to ensure even the formal banking sector has reduced the need for security, the securities that women do not own, like titles, heavy securities that make it difficult for women to access, had more finance from formal banking sector. What is the ministry doing to ensure that those requirements are eased for women to make it easy to access credit?
Honorable CS, you'll take a couple of questions before you track to the stand to respond. Senator for Kilifi, Senator Mazayo.
Asante mstahiki Spika kunipa nafasi hii. Swali langu kwa waziri ni, kwanza nataka kupatia kongole kwa kuchaguliwa na rais kama waziri wa mambo ya jinsia, utamaduni katika nchi yetu ya Kenya. Ninayo matumaini ya kwamba utafanya kazi inavyotakikana na utaweka bendera ya mume wako kama vile ilivyokuwa hapa, akifanya kazi kwa bidii na juhudi kuona kwamba amesaidia watu wake wa huko nyumbani. Swala langu mimi ni, kama wizara yako iko na hesabu au data ambayo inaweza kuonyesha usaidizi wote wa akina mama katika taifa la Kenya ambao wanaweza kufikia yale masoko ambayo yanaweza kuwasaidia katika biashara yao. Asante. Asante bwana.
Senator Abbas.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to also join my colleagues to congratulate the CS and want to thank the President for recognition of our ability for appointing us as CS. Honorable Speaker, one thing I have noted is that if we look at the amount of money that has been dispersed, it's more on the urban side. People are getting more money. You see, area like Nairobi is getting 236 million. Kiambu, 155 million. But of course, as you go far from Nairobi, even your own hometown, Baringo, there are only 10 member groups. This shows that Wajir, if you go my own town, I mean my own county, there are only 24 groups that took 5,550,000. This shows that, people are not getting access to the credit, to the fund, because of maybe lack of security. This country, it's more of a patriarchal country where men only rule and have on the title deeds. So I'm asking the CS, what is up now that the security is not there for women? What other plan do you have, your minister have, so that at least the rural women can be able to access credit from this fund?
Senator Tom Ojenda.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, I have a question. My question is question number 76.
No. Senators, kindly be attentive as we move forward. Senator Kisang.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I also want to join my colleagues to congratulate Anna for appointment as the CS. Honorable Speaker, as my colleagues have said, maybe the CS needs to also do some more of civic education in the rural counties so that more of our women may take these particular funds to at least empower them economically, especially in the groups, so that they can develop. Honorable Speaker, I remember when I was the MB for Marakwet West, we worked very closely with the ministry to ensure more groups and also assist them to basically undertake projects that are more viable, that will give them a profit. So that's what we just want to ask her to maybe focus and go to the use the officers on the ground to assist our women groups so that they can be empowered. Honorable Speaker, also maybe as a government they need to look at the Women Enterprise Fund and the Youth Enterprise Fund and the ASLA Fund. Is it possible maybe at some stage, maybe it's good to merge them together into one serious empowerment fund to assist the youth and the women and the BWDs? Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable CS, you may now proceed to respond.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much for again giving me a chance to clarify, especially on the questions that had been asked earlier. So Senator Veronica asked about the issue of funding. To be able to reach many women, we require the funds. And that is the challenge that is there, considering that the amount of money that had been given earlier, most of it has not been repaid back, and it was supposed to be a revolving fund. However, if subject to availability of funds, we shall be able to lend to as many groups as possible, because you just require a group of 10 members, and they don't require any security. The security is the chiefs, and then the local leadership. These are people who know each other. So there is no security that is required. Senator Marzayo We have a department of market linkages, and we are working to ensure that our women products reach the markets. And definitely, as a ministry, is we are looking at an all-government approach. So it does this Women Enterprise Fund is not working in isolation. We work with the other ministries to ensure that we make use of the already existing structures. Senator Abbas asked about the sensitization of the women. We have the fund operators who are on the ground sensitizing the women on how to access this credit. And we use all the same local administration to pass the information, because that is where these women are. So we work with them to ensure that they, in their normal meetings or in the local administration, women are sensitized on the need to borrow so that they can also access funds for purposes of running their businesses. There is also an introduction of Sharia compliant product because of the Muslim culture. And you know them, they don't believe in interest, they believe in profits, if I'm not wrong. So we are trying to ensure that we capture all sectors. We are also intensifying information to ensure that we reach the women at the marginalized areas. So all these measures that are there is to ensure that everyone, even if it's using the vernacular stations, to ensure that they know what is happening. But mostly we have an all-government approach. We work with all the other sectors of the government to ensure that we make use of the platforms that we have to pass the information. I can't quite remember the question that was asked by Senator Abbas.
Senator Abbas, maybe you may repeat the question.
But the rural areas don't have title deeds.
Yes.
And mostly in Kenya, actually women must own many properties. They're more of a particular country. It's only men who own most of the titles. So is there any other way that we have, without security or any other measures that can be used for the women to access the fund without any title deed?
Thank you. Thank you, Senator. I think that is a question that then I will just re-emphasize that the Women Enterprise Fund, we don't ask for security. Security is just the local administration and their own groups because they know each other. And the officers who are there to ensure that they monitor and they remind them. Sometimes it is not that they don't want to pay, it is because monitoring. That is why digital could not work. But this one for borrowing one-on-one is what is helping because we have their data and their forms. Senator Saf? No, Senator Kisang, sorry, Senator, it is somebody else who wrote, I know your name properly. Civic education is what is very key. The women have to be reminded every time that this is a facility that belongs to all women. It is not for a special category of people. And this civic education is being carried out at the constituency level. And the women are being advised, or rather they are being educated through their forums, even in churches where they are meeting, to be told that this is a facility that is there and it is available to anyone as long as you meet the minimum requirement of being at least 10 members. So, and I know most of the places, the marginalized communities, some of this information has not reached out to them, but that is exactly what we shall be endeavoring to do, to ensure that we reach out in all forums that they are available, to ensure that they get to know that this facility is available and they should make use of it. Thank you very much.
Senator Olekina.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let me begin by congratulating the newly appointed Cabinet Secretary. I was with her in Narok last week, or is it 2 weeks ago? And my question to you, knowing that you're the new kid on the block, and women demands a lot from you. I've listened to the questions asked by my colleagues. On this issue of women being able to borrow money, access to that money, are you in a position to devolve? Because I'm imagining of a woman in Baringo or a woman in Narok County in Mosiro who cannot be able to access through the phone, who also is not able to come to Nairobi. How is that woman going to know that there is money that she can be able to apply, either individually or through a group? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable CS, you may proceed to respond.
Thank you, Honorable Member, for that question. If you remember in my answer, initially we said this issue of digital borrowing has been almost vacated because it is not every woman has a phone. Not everybody has a phone, by the way. So we are reverting back to manual borrowing, and that requires personnel to ensure that they go educating the members, or rather the women, on the availability of this fund. So we are using the constituency. We have officers at the constituency level who are tasked with that role of ensuring that they educate the members on the availability of that fund. And when we talk about constituencies, that is where they are. And we have an officer who is actually educating them at that level. Then that information, with time, maybe progressively, with time, it will reach out to them. And we shall also be making a follow-up to ensure that we don't just speak, but to ensure that we also get the reports from the constituency level on how many people, how much publicity has been made to our clients then. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable CS. I will now allow the Senator for Kisumu, Honorable Professor Tomo Jenda, to ask question number 76. Honorable Senator, you may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Yeah, I want to ask the question from this desk. Mr. Speaker, to the CS Gender, Culture and Arts and Heritage, I wish to ask question number 76. CS, what factors have been identified as the major causes of the recent surge in gender-based violence cases, including the alarming rise in family incidents, which reached at least 170 cases in 2024, a 79% increase compared to 2023. Part two, what institutional challenges currently hinder the effective enforcement, enforcement of GBV-related laws, and what systemic reforms are being implemented to strengthen the capacity of law enforcement agencies and the judiciary in handling gender-based violence and femicide cases. So Speaker, part three is, could the Cabinet Secretary provide data on the prosecution and conviction rates for GBV and femicide cases in Kenya over the past 5 years, and indicate whether there are plans to establish GBV courts to expedite and sensitively handle these cases. Part D, what is the current status of the implementation of the Protection Against Domestic Violence Act and the National Policy on Prevention and Response to Gender-Based Violence? And could the CS provide an audit evaluation of their effectiveness? Lastly, could the Cabinet Secretary provide a status report on the availability, accessibility, and distribution of safe shelters, psychosocial support services, and legal aid mechanisms for gender-based violence survivors across the 47 countries? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable CS, you may now respond.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker and member, for that question. Honorable Speaker, the recent surge in gender-based violence and femicide in Kenya has escalated into a national crisis, prompting urgent calls for comprehensive action. Between August and October 2024 alone, at least 97 women were killed in gender-related murders. Addressing this multifaceted crisis requires a concerted effort to challenge societal norms, strengthen legal frameworks, and provide comprehensive support to survivors. Only through systemic change and sustained commitment can Kenya hope to reverse the rising tide of GBV and femicide. In cases of gender-based violence and femicide, increased cases of GBV and femicide are driven by a complex mix of social, economic, cultural, legal, and institutional factors. And below are the contributors. Contributor number one in the list is socio-economic factors. We live in a patriarchal society, and patriarchal norms and gender inequality societies prioritize male dominance and control over women, often normalize violence. Harmful traditional practices such as child marriage and female genital mutilation contribute to GBV, and stigma and silence around GBV cultural taboos often prevent survivors from speaking out or seeking help. Economic factors: poverty and unemployment. Financial stress can increase household tensions, leading to violence. Women in economically dependent positions are more vulnerable. And economic disempowerment of women limits women's ability to leave abusive relationships or report violence. Legal and institutional gaps. Weak enforcement of GBV laws. Perpetrators often go unpunished due to corruption, poor policing, or lack of evidence. Inadequate protection mechanisms, lack of shelters, limited legal aid, and psychosocial support services, which are wanting. Slow justice systems. Survivors may be discouraged from pursuing cases due to delays or traumatizing processes. Political and conflict-related factors. Insecurity and conflict. During war or political unrest, GBV is often used as a weapon or becomes more prevalent due to breakdown of laws and order and inadequate political support in some devolved units. Media technology. There is normalization of violence in the media. Exposure to violent content can desensitize audiences or perpetuate harmful gender norms. Cyberbullying and online harassment. Social media has become a new frontier for GBV, especially against women in public life. Alcohol and substance abuse. Increased use of alcohol and drug abuse are linked to impulsivity, and aggression, often escalating violent behavior at homes and in public spaces. The B of that question is what institutional challenges currently hinder the effective enforcement of GBV-related laws, and what systemic reforms are being implemented to strengthen the capacity of law enforcement agencies and the judiciary in handling GBV and femicide cases. Honorable Speaker, GBV remains a pervasive human rights issue in Kenya, affecting women, men, and children across all socioeconomic backgrounds. Despite the existence of progressive laws such as the Sexual Offences Act 2006, the Protection Against Domestic Violence Act 2015, and various provisions in the Constitution of Kenya, the enforcement of these legal frameworks continues to face significant obstacles. The institutional challenges undermine efforts to protect survivors, hold perpetrators accountable, and deter future incidents of gender-based violence. Addressing these systemic issues is crucial for achieving justice and fostering a society free from violence and discrimination. Honorable Speaker, the institutional challenges include, and I emphasize, one, weak coordination among government agencies. There is often a lack of coordination between key factors such as the police, judiciary, health services, and social services. This fragmentation results in inconsistent responses and delays in case processing and inadequate survivor support. Two, inadequate capacity and training of law enforcement officers. Many police officers, prosecutors, and judicial officers lack specialized training in handling GBV cases. This leads to mishandling of evidence, insensitive treatment of survivors, and poor case outcomes. The third challenge is limited resources and infrastructure. Critical institutions such as police stations, gender desks, shelters, and forensic labs are under-resourced. This limits their ability to respond effectively to GBV incidents, especially in rural and marginalized areas. Corruption and impunity. Corruption within the justice system often leads to their dismissal or manipulation of these cases. Perpetrators may bribe officials to avoid prosecution, while survivors may be coerced with withdrawing the cases. Backlog and delays in the judicial system. Kenya's courts are overwhelmed with a backlog of cases, leading to significant delays in the resolution of these matters, and survivors often lose hope or drop cases due to the prolonged wait for justice. Cultural and social norms within institutions. Institutional personnel may hold patriarchal or victim-blaming attitudes, which influence their willingness to act decisively on GBV cases. Such norms often result in the civilization or dismissal of complaints. Poor data management and case tracking. There is no comprehensive centralized system for collecting and managing GBV data across institutions. This hampers evidence-based policymaking and the monitoring of enforcement effectiveness. Inadequate survivor-centered approaches. Many institutions do not prioritize the safety, dignity, and confidentiality of GBV survivors. This deters survivors from reporting and engaging with formal systems. Honorable Speaker, my ministry, in collaboration with key stakeholders, is undertaking significant systemic reforms to enhance the capacity of law enforcement agencies and the judiciary in handling femicide cases. These efforts aim to address systemic challenges and ensure justice for survivors. The establishment of specialized gender-based violence courts. In 2023, the Kenyan judiciary launched at least 5 specialized sexual and gender-based violence special courts in regions including Shanzu, Siaya, Kisumu, Kibera, and Makadara. These courts are designed to expedite GBV cases, reduce case backlogs, and provide survivor-centered justice. Currently, Kenya has 12 specialized courts for victims of GBV. Formation of a presidential working group on femicide. In December 2024, the Kenyan cabinet approved the formation of a multi-sectoral presidential working group tasked with developing a comprehensive approach to address the increasing GBV cases, including femicide. This group, comprising religious leaders, parents, schools, security agencies, and civil society organizations, is mandated to identify legal and enforcement gaps and deliver actionable recommendations within 90 days. Specialized units within the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, ODPP. The ODPP has established specialized units focusing on SGBV, counter trafficking in persons, and child protection. These units are staffed with trained prosecutors who handle cases with trauma-informed approach, ensuring effective prosecution and victim support. Number 4, standard operating procedures for GBV case handling. In July 2024, the Kwale Court Users Committee unveiled the first ever SOP manual to streamline the reporting and handling of SGBV cases. The manual outlines procedures for proper reporting, meticulous evidence recording, and effective prosecution, aiming to ensure victims receive prompt and effective justice. Police reforms and capacity building. The National Police Service has recommended several reforms, including digitalization of P3 forms and post-rape forms, integration of GBV information management system, and establishment of specialized GBV response units at all police stations. These measures aim to enhance the efficiency and professionalism of police responses to GBV measures to GBV cases. International support and training. UN Women has been instrumental in training over 600 officers across Kenya's National Police Service and National Transport and Safety Authority. This program focuses on recognizing signs of potential femicide and promoting a victim-centered approach to law enforcement. These reforms represent a concerted effort by the Kenya government and its partners to strengthen institutional capacities and ensure timely justice for survivors and ultimately reduce the incidence of femicide in the country. Reduce or stop completely. C, the question then was, could the government cabinet secretary provide data on the prosecution? And I would invite you to see Annexure 3. There is an Annexure 3 at the back. Annexure 3 provides a summary of femicide data in Kenya, and the source, honorable member, of this data is the Ministry of Interior and Administration. So I'll invite you to see that data, which clearly gives the summary.
Madam CS, just a minute. I've been approached by the